Gary Moore is the guy you don't see. He's the hidden creative artist working behind the scenes on many projects. Gary talks to us today about his creative background and his latest project as lead developer on the YDI eMetaverse platform.
Hello, my name is Jessica Blackshear. I'm here with Gary Moore. Hello, Gary.
Hello, how are you, Jessica? It's a pleasure.
Most definitely. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for coming to my studio today. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure of mine.
Yes, really, we're really funny about who we let like in our creative space. So, but we're welcome to have you. So my name is Gary Moore. As you said, I'm the lead developer of the YDI eMetaverse project. And basically what that is we're trying to take the concept from the movie Ready Player One and make it an actual concept, an app that you can download for, the Oculus Quest and that new Apple VR glasses. And, I think there's a couple more out there on the market, but it's a pretty standard programming. It'll be coming really soon to an app a marketplace store, near you.
Yeah.
I've been a developer for over 30 years.
Oh, wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, 30 years. I started off, when I first started developing websites, there was no one really in my community that I could discuss it with because it was just so new. And then at that time, it was America Online, so they sent these discs out to everybody's house, and that's how the populations now became aware of the internet and started using it.
Oh, wow.
But
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, but I started multimedia has always been a thing. I started off, I'm a musician. I play piano, and I started off like with audio engineering, and then I went into, as the technology evolved, I went into digital audio recording, and then I expanded to video editing and graphic design. And my first corporate job was at Kellogg's.
Oh, wow.
In Battle Creek, Michigan, where I designed like Tony the Tiger boxes, Dig-'em Smacks, all of the cereal, the Rice Krispie treats, all of the Kellogg brands, and in the cereals. And it was at that time that I was like, okay, well, I have a value to myself. So in my downtime, I used to take like the characters, Tony the Tiger and the Dig-'em Smacks character, and so on and so forth, and I used those characters to create a game. Yeah, so the manager, he came through one day to my office, and he seen what I developed. It was like a little game. You can jump on a skateboard and ride through the city and throw bowls of cereal at different characters, whatever. But I was, I wanted to learn the language. Long story short, they wound up selling it. It was like they put it in the cereals, and it was at that time that I was like, okay, well, I have a value to myself. So, from that point, I started to venture out more as a freelance developer.
So, I heard a little bit about you being in the music industry. How long were you in the music industry for?
Well, off and on, for like over 15 years.
Oh, wow.
I started off, a friend of mine called me to LA to work with this little independent label called Black Market Records. I was there like maybe 3-6 months. I started feeling comfortable with some things going on there I wasn't too comfortable with, so I left. And I went back to Jersey, because Jersey is where my Jamaican family is. So whenever I try to get away from the world, I go hang out with my Jamaican family. But through them, I went to a party with one of my cousins, and I met this gentleman by the name of Commissioner Gordon Williams. And at the time, I didn't know who he was, but it turns out like this guy, he had like 8 Grammys. He had worked with all of these people.
Oh, wow.
And, we had this conversation, and he was really intrigued with my skill set. So he invited me over to his studio, and that turned out to be like a 15-year working relationship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was through Gordon that I learned how to negotiate like big deals. I mean, he's produced and worked with like some of the major artists over the last 25, 30 years. So I was working with him for 15 years in the capacity of his multimedia developer.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow.
Labels would give him the budget to produce the artist, and then I would do like the photography and design their website and create the MP3s to save. Because at that time, that's when iTunes started literally destroying the music industry.
Heard about that.
Yeah, because the MP3 downloads was crazy then. You're probably from the Napster generation. It was just ending. Yeah, the
Right.
Napster thing, Apple expounded on that and they came out the iPod and the MP3 thing. So that's like around the time when technology really started to like change industries.
Mhm.
Because it was at that time that in the music industry, just the evolution of the iPod, it changed the whole way that music was distributed.
Oh
And,
wow.
and a lot of artists were upset because they felt like they weren't getting their cut. But that wasn't my role in the industry. My role in the industry was always like behind the camera, behind the lights.
Sounds a lot like me.
Yeah, yeah, but
Right,
that's
right,
what I'm
right.
comfortable at. It's like I don't do
Right.
too many of these kind of interviews.
So I talked to you a bit earlier about the nonprofit and how you are into that kind of thing. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, again, that was something I got into again with Gordon. Um, we had through a mutual friend. He was the dean of admissions at a college in New Jersey
Mhm.
called Catherine Gibbs, and he thought it would be cool if he introduced us to the then president.
Mhm.
And so we came up with a little rough draft for a curriculum for a digital audio recording program. Well, fast forward, that turned into like an actual 2 years
Mhm.
of like researching and writing. They put us with a couple of professors to help our program become accredited by the state of New Jersey.
Mhm.
So ultimately, it became an accredited program.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a 2-year associate program, and that was at the Catherine Gibbs College, and that was in Livingston, New Jersey.
Mhm.
And it was around at that time too. We was doing a lot, like taking music into the inner city schools. We would take like live bands, and we would take like video presentations and show them, because we were doing like some touring with this artist Leela James at the time. So we would, take video in the school if we couldn't get a band and show the kids different places like South Africa and different places that we've been to. But then that led us to the ultimate of Mr. Bill Strickland
Mhm.
out of Philadelphia of the Manchester Bidwell Corporation. And it was with Mr. Strickland that we learned how to use like art to heal like the trauma of
Mhm.
like certain childhood abuses. Like he's all about that. He had been doing it like since the 60s. He had got like this huge grant and he had built like 3 centers in Philadelphia. And his 4th center was in Cleveland, and that's when
Mhm.
we met him. So before us, he had in his program, he was teaching like like the really like the old style of recording
All
with the
right.
huge mixing
Board,
board, and
right.
the technology
Exactly.
was kind of outdated. Most
Yeah.
nonprofits, their technology is outdated.
Oh wow.
So we
Didn't
kind
know
of,
that.
yeah, most nonprofits, their technology, because they don't really concentrate on digital arts.
Right.
They really concentrate more on sporting and more athletics and stuff, not too much with technology. But it was Newbridge, Cleveland that we modified our college curriculum, the
Mhm.
associate program that we
Right.
wrote. We
Uh-huh.
modified that for high school students
Oh wow.
because his program was for at-risk students,
Mhm.
and so what we added to his program was the talents that I had, the photography, the digital audio recording. Of course, Gordon, he was like a master at the digital audio recording. He won like 9 Grammys at the time. I think he's like up to 13 now.
Oh beautiful.
But for my part, I expanded the curriculum to include like web development, coding, game programming, video editing, motion graphics, just all the tools that I use in my arsenal, because at
Mhm.
one time I was those kids. But yeah, so I've done a lot with the nonprofits. I've helped nonprofits in America and abroad, like the Caribbean and Ethiopia, That's a whole other story.
Oh, wow. So, tell me a little bit, like, how did you really get into the technology business? So you talk about the nonprofit in this, and can you see, like, you could give me a little bit of information about your childhood a little bit? How did you get here? How did it flourish the way it flourished right now?
That's a broad question. Well, like I said, I've been into technology probably a long time, since high school, and I've just always had like a passion for it. So as you know, a lot of people, in my age group, they like the last few years they've like switched careers or just left it alone because they said the technology changes, too often and it's too much to learn and relearn. But for me, I guess I've been fortunate enough that I haven't had that issue. So just working with into the metaverse is just a natural process for me, because the metaverse is just basically a new way of designing websites. It's just broader pipes, and you can get broader information through. So you can actually develop gaming style websites, gaming style commerce site, and you can experience with virtual reality glasses, with Omni treadmills. Like, the technology is it's magnifying and multiplying so quick that a lot of people are gonna get like lost in the dust. The AI technology is taking over everything, scripting. In our YDI eMetaverse world, our avatars are so realistic. The skin, the hair, the movement. The technology, the virtual technology, the virtual aspects of the internet. The metaverse is definitely here. It's not Zuckerberg's, but it's definitely here, and it's going to be a common thing within the next 1 to 2 years. Everyone's going to be on the metaverse.
Well, due to the information that I did research about you, you're also part of, you're one of the lead developers of the YDI eMetaverse?
Yes, that's that. Yes, I am. I was actually, how that came about is I was actually developing my own virtual world, but actually I was just developing a mall. I was going to just develop an interactive mall to sell NFTs and real world products.
Right.
And I had a couple clients, that I was working with that was willing to rent stores there. But then through a mutual acquaintance, I met Mr. Mark, and he had this vision for an entire metaverse world. He called it his eMetaverse. And
Wow.
he sent me all of his information. We had a phone call, and 3 days later, I was at his place in Houston, and we were creating a deal, and we've been working on it ever since. It's been like a little bit over a year now.
Oh,
But
beautiful. That's
we're getting
beautiful.
close to
Wow.
launch dates.
Wow, this is amazing, guys. I'm, just sitting down with Gary Moore here. I don't want to put too much on him. It sounds like he's some crazy genius, guys.
Yeah.
But it's a pleasure, talking with him, talking about his background, and it's just amazing. Just knowing the information for myself, and just talking with you is just amazing, and the knowledge that you have. So do you have any further things to say about anything that you just want the people to know?
Well, I would just like to say in closing that
The metaverse and the evolution of the internet, it's the same as the transformation of dial-up to broadband, except this evolution is from broadband to ultraband. Everyone will be in the metaverse very soon, sooner than most think.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you so much for your interview. That was amazing.
Mark Eagleton is the founder of the YDI eMetaverse platform. Mark went to work for the CA Franchise Tax Board, now CA West Big in Taxes. They had 3 offices to cover the entire country. Mark was based in the NYC office, and while he was there, he went to the tax library and studied taxes. Mark brought in over $6 million from audits, but they only paid him like $25,000. So after a while, Mark figured that he could make a lot more money helping clients navigate their tax audits than working for the government. He got an assignment to work for Dr. Ling Sun Chu. He was a sixth-generation Chinese doctor who had his own hospital in Beijing. In New York, he attended New York State Medical School and eventually became the dean. He was an internist, but what he really practiced was Eastern medicine, namely acupuncture. He wrote books and gave free lectures to doctors, and eventually was responsible for acupuncture becoming legal. Mark took care of his financial affairs from 1971 through 1982, and he paid no taxes and was audited 3 times, passing each time with no changes. In 1993, IBM was in the process of converting their mainframe business to PCs, and they decided to acquire Lotus for its networking application nodes. As part of the process, they needed apps for the employees to use on PCs, which they had previously been doing on mainframe terminals. And they had to put those contracts out to bid, and one of Mark's agencies knew that Mark was familiar with AmiPro macro language, which was quite rare at the time, and Mark was not a programmer, so he negotiated that so long as they provided him with a coder when necessary, he would do the rest. They agreed. The first contract was the Personal Business Commitment Project. It was the annual employee assessment application. Well, they liked what he did and asked him to create the medical benefits app for employee medical claims, which he did. Mark has an extensive background in technology, real estate, and financing. Jessica Blackshear speaks with Mark via Skype to talk about his latest venture, the YDI eMetaverse, and why he's developing it.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm fine, Jesse. How are you?
I'm pretty well. It's good talking with you again. How you been?
I've been fine, working on the eMetaverse.
Oh, wow. So we're going to freshen up a little bit. So how did you come up with the idea of the YDI eMetaverse?
Well, I've been studying history for many years, since my 20s, and I've been watching the country go down, and all these people taking over and the criminal syndicates running the country. And from the 90s, when I first had virtual reality, that was like one of the best experiences of my life, when I went to a demo of virtual reality at a trade show. And the technology wasn't there yet, and it was very expensive also, so there was no business model and nothing happened. And then in the 50s, TV came out, and by the 60s, everybody was watching TV. And by the 90s, everybody was couch potatoes, talking about their shows at the water cooler. And then the internet came along, and it took a few years. But as the internet grew in popularity, TV viewership went down. And then, so the internet has been going on since the 90s to the 2000s, the 2010s. And then they started to have the metaverse come out. And when I saw the metaverse, I recalled my experience in virtual reality, and I knew we could create a whole world with an ecosystem, with real estate, and all that kind of thing. But I didn't want it to be compared to the real world, which was kind of bad. It's very bad now what's going on in the world. So I thought, and I always was patriotic also, that if we ran the metaverse by the US Constitution as the founders intended it, and we put in free market capitalism, it would prosper. That would be a good way to do it. And that's where I came up with the idea. And I came up with the name You Deserve It, because that's what the American people deserve, the country that everybody fought for and gave their lives and their fortunes and their sacred honor to give us. And then through the various incidents or events of the world over time, the American people are exceptional, and they built up the best country that there ever was in the history of the world. And so the metaverse that we're creating, the eMetaverse, which I call the eMetaverse because In Hebrew, the word met means dead, and the word emet means truth. And you can't unknow that once you know it. So I made the name eMetaverse. And now we see that the eMetaverse will come live very soon. And it's an alternative world to what there is. We will help to fix the real world by our world. We will contribute to saving the country. And we're going to contribute to saving the country with our eMetaverse. You deserve it. And the American people have always been exceptional, and they deserve it. That's why everybody wants to come here. And all these other countries, they're keeping their people in. But in America, everybody wants to come here.
So tell me a little bit, what can we do in the YDI eMetaverse?
Well, the eMetaverse is the highest form of entertainment, education, and show business. It's the highest form. You couldn't get any higher because you could actually be in it. It's like you're there. Our world differs from the competitors, such as Meta, because it's realistic. We will not be cartoonish. When you come to our world, you'll think you're there. Your avatar will wander the world and as if you're there, and you will believe it. And it's realistic, and that's the difference of us.
I like that. It's just more, you're more talking about the realism. I see where you're trying to get there a little bit. So the realism is where you want everybody to see.
Our app is going to be free to upload to your Oculus or your virtual reality headset, whatever you have. It will work with that. It's going to be free, and it includes a free avatar tool. So you can make your avatar like a copy of yourself, as much as like you're really there, like it's you, or you can idealize it. You can modify it and idealize it. And also, disabled people will be able to occupy the metaverse as if they're not disabled. They'll be able to walk around. They can create their avatar with feet and walk around and all that stuff. So they'll be able to do things in the metaverse that they can't even do in real life.
Wow, that's amazing, Mark. Oh my goodness, I don't even know where to begin. You know, that's setting the bar really high.
One of our team members made that an important point, that it has to be usable and suitable for disabled people.
Good, that's good. So tell me a little bit about the tokens in Solana.
Okay, so we selected the Solana blockchain when we decided to form the metaverse because it's cheaper and it's faster than Ethereum, which was the competitor for blockchains of the metaverse. So Solana is the third biggest. So we minted it on the Solana blockchain. We're minting 400 trillion tokens, which will be in the vault. They will not be issued for circulation. We have strict rules about issuing tokens for circulation. We do not want our crypto to be as a fiat currency. So we will have silver and real estate and operations and assets behind the tokens. So all the tokens will be supported by assets of some nature, commodity or real estate, digital real estate, or actual silver. And so we're on the Solana blockchain, but we're not tradable on any exchanges at this time. And our tokens don't have a real value. In the beginning, they will have an arbitrary value that the trustees of YDI will decide. And it will be a percentage of Solana. So, for example, if Solana is $20 and we make a YDI token 0.05 of Solana. So you'll have to buy Solana and exchange it for YDI tokens. That's the only way you can get YDI tokens in the beginning. But eventually, once our community develops and we have substantial numbers of followers, say 500,000 followers or so, community members, then at that time, we will find a market value for the YDI tokens, and we will put it on exchanges, and you will be able to buy it directly and trade it directly, just like all the other tokens. But at the beginning, it's only exchangeable for Solana. That's the only way we could do it.
And so for entertainment purposes, so have you thought about doing any casinos in the YDI eMetaverse?
Okay, so we have plans. So the YDI eMetaverse world is set up like a mall. It's called the YDI Mall. So it's an actual mall, and in the mall there's stores. And one of the stores is an artist gallery with apparel, where you can buy apparel to dress your avatar, and also you can get the same apparel in real life, so you could wear it as clothes in the real world and also in the metaverse. That's one of the first stores. The second store is called the Firearms Training Academy, and it's fashioned after the best firearms training academy in the real world that was operating for over 20 years. And trains people 95% better than the services, the armed services, and law enforcement. And it focuses on safety. And so there's going to be 50 courses, from handguns to shotguns to long guns and snipers. And we're going to have those courses in the metaverse. So that's education. That's our first endeavor into education. And then we're going to have attractions such as concerts by patriotic performers. We intend to give it away, that they can keep all the money, and we'll just collect NFT fees, a small token for our course, to cover our course. But those people can stage concerts in the metaverse, and also political rallies can be staged, and millions of people can attend. They can make $100 million in one day from one rally if they promote it properly. And so that can be done in the metaverse. And as you know, whenever President Trump does a rally and it's on the internet, there's 100 million views on the internet. People all over the world are interested in President Trump. And so that will be entertainment, education, and show business. Discounted price. It's not going to be a real price like in the real world, because the real estate will be digital, but it will match. And then they can build a house. If they want variances and so forth, we can make arrangements for that. And so eventually, the metaverse will be built out to be a whole world, just like this world. And we'll have buildings such as the Empire State Building. We won't name it that for copyright purposes, but we might have a building that matches the Empire State Building, but it'll be digital. I don't think we'll have any copyright problems out of that. And so there's all kind of famous buildings all around the world. As people become the community for the metaverse and they want to have real estate, it will be there for them. There will be an ecosystem where business can be done and services can be done, because in the metaverse, your services can serve the whole world. Whereas if you have bricks and mortar or even internet, it's somewhat limited and it's two-dimensional. But in the metaverse, it'll be three-dimensional, just like you're there. And you can do services, you can do all kinds of things, just like you can do in the real world. The only thing you can't do in the metaverse is eat and go to the bathroom.
That's a good one. That's a good one, Mark. That's a good one.